it's me Dominique from Domanique's Diary. Thank you so much for checking out my channel and checking out today's video. Today's video, as titled, is about keeping your rabbits warm during the winter. So if this is something that you think you might enjoy, stick around and let's go. Before we get into it, I just want to say that all the tips that I'm giving to you are tips that I have learned over the years looking after rabbits for so many years. I have gained this information from various sources with regards to the correct rabbit care, from the Rabbit Welfare Association Fund, from the RSPCA, from rabbit forums as well. So these are tips that I have learned over the years, and there might be other things that you agree with, things that you don't agree with. As a general, these are some great practices to making sure that your rabbits are kept nice and warm during the winter months. I'm mainly going to be focusing on rabbits that live outdoors. However, I do have a couple of tips for rabbits that are indoors as well, so stick around if you have an indoor rabbit for those tips as well. For your outdoor rabbits, one of the most important things that you need to consider is the enclosure that they are in. Of course, we know a hutch is not enough. It's a very, very important tagline when we are thinking about having rabbits as pets. So your hutch, run, playhouse, shed that you keep your rabbit in, one of the most important things is to make sure it's insulated. Does it have windbreakers? Do you have perspex sheets? Does it have tarpaulin? Inside the shed, does it have MDF boards with insulation inside? So consider all those with the enclosure that your rabbit is kept in. My rabbits are kept in a shed with an attached run. Inside the shed, they have MDF boards with insulation in between the side of the shed and the MDF boards. That is how the shed is insulated, and then the run has a perspex sheet over the top to prevent rainfall from getting inside the run, but also when it's windy as well. You can get tarp from places such as garden centres. You can also get them from places such as Wilkinson's. You can order them online as well. I will have some details linked down below in the description box, so if it makes it easier for you, you can shop through those links as well. Those are affiliated, so I do appreciate it if you do shop through them. Just be mindful that when the rabbits are coming in and out of their enclosures into their run, that the wind and the rain can come from any direction. So how is that going to fall into the sides of a run? Is there shelter inside the run as well? So making sure that they are protected. Some rabbits don't care. Some rabbits will just sit in the direction of rainfall and wind and it doesn't bother them, even snow. But every rabbit is different, so make sure you take all of these into account when considering wrapping up the enclosures ready for the colder weather. Another really important item to have on your list and have to hand during the colder months is straw. Now, straw is a bedding for rabbits. Often people will use this throughout the year. I tend to only use it in the colder months. My rabbits don't tend to take advantage of the straw, but I always make sure that I have a lot of it at hand in the colder months. Straw is a fantastic natural insulator for rabbits, so provide it where possible. Again, if your rabbits are kept in a hutch, you want to make sure there is lots of straw in there for them to be able to keep themselves warm. It helps to keep the heat in around them. Of course, they have their fur coats. You can never have enough straw. If you want to pack it out, pack it out. That's one thing that I've really learnt on rabbit forums, is just fill it up with straw, because they end up flattening it down anyway by sitting on it. So if they're kind of like traveling through it, then that's great, because remember, rabbits live in burrows underground, so they're going to be fine going through straw, so don't worry about that. Just be mindful that they eat hay and straw is their bedding. Sometimes rabbits do chew on straw, but then you need to make sure that they have enough food. They need to have unlimited hay. Remember, hay makes up around 80% of a rabbit's diet, so the more hay, the better. We don't want rabbits trying to substitute hay for straw. They get no nutritional value from straw. So straw is a bedding. You also need to make sure that you clean out that bedding as often as possible. You do not want them sitting in their own feces and pee for such long times in cold weather, because then the straw is going to be wet and cold and it's not going to be doing the job that it's supposed to. So keep on top of cleaning out their enclosures that has lots of straw. As temperatures drop below zero, you need to consider water. So rabbits also need to have water, unlimited. That is always a supply there for them. Whether you are using bowls or bottles, please make sure that these are not frozen for long periods of time. So if the bottle can be brought inside the enclosure, that would be great. If there's a way, if you have a hutch, sometimes we have it on the outside with the spout going in. If there's a way to have the bottle inside on the side of the hutch, then that's great. Use socks. So push the bottle into an old pair of fleece socks or buy a new pair of fleece socks, and this will help with keeping the water, you know, making sure that it doesn't freeze. You can also buy bottle covers in pet shops and online as well. If you use water bowls, I prefer water bowls to bottles. Make sure you lift the bowl off the ground. The ground is going to be cold, of course, depends on what the bowl is on. A lot of the time my water bowl is kept on carpet, but it can still freeze. So lift that up to try and prevent that from freezing. Again, if you come across frozen water, replace it with tepid water as well, not hot, never ever boiling hot water. You can use warm water from the tap if you want to, but not too warm. The next item that you can purchase, and I would definitely say invest in one of these, is a Snuggle safe. Snuggle safes can be bought in pet shops and online, and you put them in your microwave for a period of time, and then they are due to stay warm for a few hours. Now, some people will reheat them throughout the day. I often use them, I put them out twice a day, first thing in the morning and again for the evening. They're supposed to last a good few hours, but I do find after about 3-4 hours they tend to be quite cool, so I like to put them back in the microwave. Make sure that your Snuggle safe is covered. My rabbits have chewed their Snuggle safe cover, so I wrap them up in a blanket or a towel just to make sure they're not chewing on the plastic. But I would highly recommend investing in a Snuggle safe. You can also have a Snuggle safe and put a water bowl on top of there to prevent the water from freezing over. So that's another top tip with regards to your Snuggle safe. Different places you can put them. You can put them pretty much in the middle of the room. You can put them in their hides. You can put them on a shelf. Just think about where your rabbit likes to sit inside their enclosure, and that's where I put my Snuggle safe. One thing I really like to have in my rabbit shed is bath mats or rugs. So my rabbits are able to jump on and off things, and on top of those I like to have bath mats and rugs so they can sit on those. Some people might use blankets. I personally have found that when I've used blankets or like beds that are like cat or dog beds, that my rabbits use them and think that they're a litter tray and they pee on them, but they don't tend to pee on the bath mats or the rug. So I have stuck with bath mats and rugs, but everyone is different. Every rabbit is different, but mine just think that it's another litter tray. But you can definitely invest in those so that when they're sitting up on top of, I mean inside the shed I have a hutch, so they sit on top of there. That helps to keep them nice and warm. I also have a storage box, they might sit on there as well. So it just means that their feet, their paws and their belly are just kept a bit snugly as well. You can also purchase self-heating beds as well, which have insulation inside. I will link one of those down below as well for you. Again, you can find those in pet shops. You can find them online on places like Amazon. I've even seen them in places like B&M as well. So again, when they sit on those, it helps to keep them nice and warm. But just be mindful, if you have a rabbit that's not neutered or a rabbit that's not litter trained, that they might go to the toilet on those. Make sure that your rabbit has lots of hides and pack those hides out with straw. As we said, the more straw the better. They like to cuddle up inside hides and outsides, but giving them the option to have hides is always best. It's always best to have more than one hide as well, especially if you do have a large group of rabbits. You can use old hutches. I have found hutches that are on Facebook Marketplace that are too small to house rabbits just in on its own. So I actually have, I think it's like a 2-foot hutch that was secondhand. The door is always open, they're never ever shutting it, but they can go in there, they can snuggle up in there. You can use dog crates and put a cover or a blanket over a dog crate. You just have to be mindful that you don't want them slipping their paws in if they jump on top of it, because they will jump on top of it. So you need to make sure that You can have the dog crate cover or bath mat or a rug on top, something to make sure that they don't hurt themselves with a dog crate, so just be mindful of dog crate. You can even buy a cat litter tray that has the lid and cover and you know, pack that full of straw as well. So there's a variety of different items that you can purchase that work really, really well as hides. And again, you can buy cat beds, a covered cat bed, but just be mindful they might think that that's a litter tray and go to the toilet in there, and you will end up washing that quite often or end up throwing that away if it smells too bad. So hides are really important, not only inside the enclosure but also in their run as well. So if they want to be in their run, they want to be outside but they want shelter and cover, have a hide in their run as well. One thing that a lot of people question when having outdoor rabbits is, should they bring that outdoor rabbit inside? My answer to that is, if you are happy to keep your outdoor rabbit inside during the whole of the winter months, then great. If you have the space and you're happy to have them indoors, then that's great. But what I do not agree with is people that bring rabbits inside of the night and back out in the day. Rabbits can really suffer with temperature change. If you want to bring them in and out in the day and the night, you need to make sure they are in a room that has no heating. They can get the sniffles and they can get really poorly from that. But you do have to be mindful of that you could actually be contributing to your rabbit getting poorly by bringing them in and out and changing the temperature. Ideally, if you're bringing your rabbits in during the colder months, make sure they are in a room that is cold and has no heat source or heating. If you are considering bringing your rabbits in during the colder months, best to gradually bring them in. The rabbits will already have their winter coat, which they would have shed at the start of autumn. So you need to do this over a gradual time as well, making sure the heating's off, and then if you want to keep them in until spring, then you can slowly start to have that room be warmer so they can acclimatise. It's all about them acclimatising to the temperature. So there's loads more information regarding that online. I would suggest, if you have a rabbit that is old or is poorly, to have them inside during the winter. It's not fair for them to be outdoors, especially if they're on their own or if there's only a couple of them, because that can contribute to them getting worse. And it's also best to keep an eye on elderly and sick rabbits anyway. So personally, if one of my rabbits was not very well, I have 4, so I would bring at least 2 inside so that rabbit has a friend. So my advice to you, if your rabbit is old or thin and poorly, to have them inside during the winter months. And finally, if your rabbits are in a smaller enclosure, when I say smaller, I mean it's not a shed or a playhouse. If it's a hutch that you can bring into a garage, then I would highly recommend that as well if you are feeling very nervous about them being outside, especially if it's going to snow and be very frosty. As long as the rabbit has enough space and enrichment as they would do outside, then I would recommend, yes, bringing them into a garage would be absolutely fine, again with the heating off. So if you have the ability to do that, then go ahead. Conservatory, again, sometimes people will bring them into the conservatory and then you can have the heating off in there as well. If you have the capability to do that, then go ahead and do that. Last tip for outdoor rabbit owners is, in the winter months, you're going to find a lot of predators are going to be trying to find more food. So please, 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 although this should be an everyday, all year round thing, make sure that their enclosures are predator proof, because you will have birds of prey and foxes looking for food by coming into our back gardens. So make sure that their enclosures are predator proof. So a couple of tips for those of you that have indoor rabbits. We have a current cost of living crisis, so I completely understand if you are a bit reluctant to have your heating on and your home is a bit colder than it would usually be. So having indoor hides for your rabbit, if they're in a pen or if they are free range, filling that with straw as well, doing the exact same that I've said, making sure that it's cleaned out. Although they're inside and it's going to be warmer than it would be outside, you still need to make sure you keep on top of cleaning those out. If you have a log burner like we do and you have indoor rabbits, a guard in front of your log burner would be great. You will know your rabbit probably more than anyone else would know their rabbit. You do need to make sure that their safety comes first. I have had rabbits that have laid in front of, not a log burner, but a fireplace that has fire, that if they got too close would burn them, okay? But I have had rabbits that have slept right in front of a fireplace and have been fine. But they can be curious, you never know what they might do. Always make sure they are supervised. Just remember their safety as well. Thank you so much for checking out my video today. I really hope that it helps you, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.